Good morning. Boy, God is just moving and moving and moving. These are some powerful times that we're in. All kinds of things are happening. But there's all kinds of opportunities for the believer. And don't you even begin to fret about what's going down, about what you hear in the news and coming from the godless society that wants to keep you from knowing that God is actually real. All of that. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. And I want you to understand something. God hits a moving target. Do you realize that every one of the disciples that Jesus picked was in business doing something? I mean, most of them were fishermen, and then there was, the tax collectors, and everybody he chose was about their business. And he did not go to the synagogue and find people immersed in prayer, seeking the Lord, laying there, waiting on God. He didn't deal with nobody like that. He went and got somebody who had enough drive to try. And many of us are trying to figure out what to do in these troubled times. I mean, you got all kind of stuff coming up. Gas goes to $5 a gallon. That's a big crimp. You know what I'm saying? And they talk about food riots and all kind of stuff. And every time you turn around it's just so many things that are happening that you have no control over. There's nothing you can do about it. It's the world that you live in. And many of us are looking, what is God's plan for me? And let me tell you what it isn't. Don't let the direction of our country shut you down. And that's why they're sending you all these checks and all this kind of, but see, God, like I say, he hits a moving target. And the first thing he gave Adam in the garden was a job. And he expects us to be productive and moving forward and doing things and all showing the world who he is, because that's his character. Like I said, all the disciples were busy doing something, fishing and businessmen and all kinds of things. And if you're sitting still, the odds of God showing you the next thing is pretty slim. And the reason being is he's not going to show you what he has for you to do if the odds of you doing it are like slim to none, because you're afraid to do this and you're afraid to try that, and all kinds of things come up. Let me tell you what just happened to me. What brought this up? I'm an old car buff. I built a bunch of cars and hot rodding when I was a kid and doing stupid stuff like that. And then I built a couple antique cars and all this kind of thing and all that. And just a couple years ago, I just got a hold to a car. I loved it. It was a little Jaguar. I got it from a good friend of mine that I had known for a while. And, my plan was to just ride it out of that thing. I even had a license plate that said "in well" on it, and all this. And it was a great little convertible and all that. I was looking forward to the spring and summer and all that. What happened is last year I began to have some problems with it. The transmission wouldn't shift and all. Jaguar transmission. Don't even think about it. But anyway, my plan, I decided, I let it sit all winter, and then I was going to put it in the shop, and they had a price for it. They told me they could fix the thing. And it was a big price, but it wasn't more than what the car was worth to me. Well, long story short, over the winter, by the time I got ready to get it started, the thing wouldn't start, acted up, all kind of ugly stuff and everything. And I took it to the shop, and by the time they got through going through it, it was all kind of problems, and it would cost me more to fix the car than the car was worth. And so I said, all right. I even prayed. I said, Lord, please, Lord, let me have a car, because I like riding the thing, top and drop, and I got my dog, it was a guy thing, I liked it. And they told me that it was dead. They said, don't mess with that car, it's dead. And I can buy another one for about what I was going to put into this one, And so So I came down, I was praying, and and I asked the Lord, and as soon as I got this happened Monday, because over the weekend, I was waiting to find out what the deal was on the car, and on Monday, I called them up and they said, Doug, you don't want to mess with this. And they told me all the stuff that was problems, and they said send it over to Jaguar and let them diagnose. I said, oh God, when you start talking about Jaguar and all that, the price goes out the roof. So I came down and I made up my mind. I'm gonna go ahead and just get rid of the car, So I came down on Monday morning and, I was praying. I said, okay, Lord, please, just let it run. But, if you don't, And the first thing he said, because my plan was to sell the car, just get rid of it, part it out. First thing he said to me, keep the car. I went, and listening to that still small voice, God is involved in all of your life if you're listening to him. And I've learned to turn quickly when he's speaking, because he has the ability to talk to you, and if you're in relationship with him, I don't believe the enemy can mess that up, because his voice from what Satan would say, and if Satan is telling you it's always going to be something that's all about you and he's bad, you know a person, just like if my wife writes me if I write my wife a letter and tell her that I killed him, she knows that I mean that I was successful in what I tried to do and it was good. But if you don't know me and I say I killed him, you might try to put me in jail for hate speech because I said I killed him and I didn't mean it that way. But she would understand that because she knows me, and that's how it is with God. So with all the things that are going on, like I said, gas going out of sight, and the price of gas going like $5-6 a gallon and all this stuff, and I was driving a big old truck, getting about 13 miles of the gallon on the truck, and all that. And so I decided, since I couldn't keep the little car and all that, I said, well, I got up right away. Didn't sit around and pine and whine and all that kind of stuff. I got right in. I went right on the internet, started looking around, said, what can I do? I looked at my little funds, and they was short. But I looked around, and long story short, I called on this car I saw just what I needed. A little 4-banging SUV that would just be perfect, and it was priced well within what I could afford to do, and it was a good deal. And I called a brother up, and we got to talking, and he come to find out he was living on the street that I grew up on, and me and him had history and all this kind of stuff. And after all the smoke cleared, bip, I bought the car that day. Bam! And it's perfect. Now, and the point I want to make, God hits a moving target. I wouldn't have gotten that blessing had I just sat back and oh no and oh whoa and I'm afraid to move and don't make up my mind. No, you gotta be moving. God is not gonna reveal to you what he has for you if the odds are that you ain't gonna do it. And you got to learn to turn quickly and listen quickly and know his voice and have the faith that when he's speaking, you hear what he's saying and it's him talking to you. And what's happening in our nation right now, the way they're operating, they're trying to kill the natural drive to try, the American drive of being independent and resourceful and all that kind of thing. They want to kill all of that and put you on some kind of a check and shut your brain down. Don't let that happen. Don't let this situation that we're in right now, where they got people in office offering to take care of your every need, and all you got to do is sit back and get a check. Because what that's doing is putting you to sleep and putting you outside of what God can do with you. Because like I say, God hits a moving target, and he's trying, and what the enemy's trying to do, since he understands that, is stop you from moving. have you drop out of life. The image of God is no longer in life, is what he wants. But see, what God does is he uses the things that happen in your life as testimony of the people that are watching. And people be sitting back, I want to get blessed. I want to get blessed. And they lay on their face all day long, afraid to make a move, don't want to try nothing. Ain't got, but God will reveal the plans and and the Bible says he will give you the desires of your heart. And he puts those desires there. So if that's something that you want, you need to be moving. That's one of your desires. That's part of God's plan for you. And you need to be moving in that direction so that those things will happen. You can't just lay down and I'm waiting on God. I'm just waiting on God. Well, I'm going to tell you what, you're going to be waiting. You're going to be waiting. Because like I said, every one of them disciples that he picked was already busy. And they were teachable. And they had, now with you, because, now they had to see God do some things. Now, the disciples had to see God do some things. And they saw him walking on the water and speaking to the storms and able to talk about to prophesy about some things that they had seen them doing and all this kind of thing. And they began to, and they was watching this guy and they was saying, okay, there's something to this. There's something to this. And their trust was built because as they watched God do those things, they began to believe and trust and know. And without a promise that they were going to be taken care of, but they began to trust just seeing how God worked. And they all quit, and they all walked away from careers and businesses and all that to follow him, to do what but that was the way he's setting up his original church. And now he does the same thing with you. He don't want you on your face all day. He don't want you laying around trying to be holy all day. He wants you out there showing the world what he like by the things he does in your life. And you got to be doing something in your life so that he will have something to work with. Give God something to bless. If you ain't doing nothing, you ain't got nothing to bless. And there needs to be a certain tenacity. I mean, he expects that. I mean, if you take off on something, if it ain't done, that means you're not finished. He wants that kind of an attitude and a can-do attitude that says that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, because that's the truth. And I'm talking about in little things. Many of us have been convinced that we can't do anything and we're afraid to try. And that thing that God has got on your heart for you to do, start trying to do. Don't try to look for a good time, because actually the time that we're going into, with all the businesses shutting down, there's all kinds of opportunities out there, but you have to be creative enough, get out there enough, trust God enough to be able to see it, not based on what you have right now that you can do, because you can always look at something and say, well, I can't do that because. No, don't say that. If God sent you in that direction, you just go in that direction and don't worry about what you ain't got, because he'll give you the things you need along the way. And remember what we're here for. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Our job is to show what the world is like and bring the kingdom to bear here on earth. And to do that, you got to be doing something. And you have to be prayerful. You got to be in your word. You got to understand who God is. You need to understand his character. But after all the smoke clears, if God opens the floodgates, it just comes and it comes and it comes, and the blessings come that way. And I'm only seeing that because I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it. Stupid stuff happens. If you have the courage to try and head in that direction and then believe that it's going to happen. Don't go walking into the door saying it ain't going to work, because if you're always saying that, or if the people that you're around are always saying, well, you can't do that because, and you can't do that because, if you're around somebody like that, get away from them. That ain't who you need to be with, because if God is giving you something to do, he will give you a way to do it, and he'll open the doors, but you will never see that door as long as you're sitting back waiting on God. God hits a moving target. Get moving. Don't let this blight on our country affect you. And don't put all your trust in people that don't know who God is, all the media and all that kind of stuff, because they're going to tell you everything it is to shut you down, to make sure you don't. Don't listen to the fact that they're going to send you a check so you ain't got to do nothing but sit back and live. You're not designed to be like that. You're designed to show up. You got a fingerprint, and your fingerprint means that you have a unique offering to this world, that God, a unique reason that God made you. And to be able to do that, you got to be willing to step out, risk rejection, risk people. I mean, we listen. We taking things from our authorities that don't like, that have no faith in God or anything. And we take those things as gospel and we trust those things. You can't trust that and trust God at the same time. Now, I'm not saying you throw everything that they said to the side, but anytime you're operating on a trust above the trust in God, which is faith, you're in the wrong arena. Because if you ain't trusting God, you trust in the world, and the world is run by Satan, and he's going to take you out. That's the whole plan. So let me end with this. Hebrews 10:36. It says, you need to persevere so that when you have done the will of God, you will receive what he has promised. In other words, don't quit. The things you learn and the things you learned about God as a child are still true. Don't buy into the okie doke. Don't listen to, because like I say, everything that's happening around you in our nation right now is designed to take away your faith in God, make you feel like it's not true, make you feel like there's something wrong with us and all that. But God, God does not change. And all this okie doke and stuff that they're coming up with about how people are and all that kind of stuff, and how they're going against the science of the universe, all that, don't let that control your life. Know that God is with you. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all these things will come unto you. That means you have to be a moving target. If you're sitting still, the odds of God revealing something to you are pretty slim. Now you don't run around like a crazy person and all that. You got to have the wisdom. You need to be in wise counsel with somebody, talking to people that, and if the person that you're talking to that's giving you advice, if their advice is not working for them, take it with that in mind. Doesn't mean they can't tell you something that's good. But if it ain't working for them, that's, you got to be suspect of that. And if they're if they're trying to tell you, well, you better be careful. Be careful. Hold on. No. You got to have the attitude of, I trust him, and he'll have you hanging out there on a limb a lot. I mean, because that's where the blessings are, out there at the edges, And you can't be, and being in the place of blessing with God, that's not a safe place. I mean, if you're looking to be safe and have no problems, and I'm going to make sure I'm going to be all right, that's you trusting in you. God is going to have you in a position where if you ain't trusting in him, you just out there all by yourself. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you'll feel like you are. But that has not been what God has shown me. Let me end with this. Proverbs 3, verse 5. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways, submit to him, and he will make your path straight. Thank you, Lord. Oh, and if you want to help spread the gospel, they're shadow banning my stuff, and I put it out for some reason, but they can't stop God. You know what I'm saying? God will give you what you need in a dream. You can't stop God, and they ain't gonna stop me. I don't care if they'll never put it out. I'm gonna do what God got for me to do, and he'll work out the details. But if you would like and share this video, if this is you believe it'll be of a help to someone or for a help to the kingdom, and Doesn't matter what happens in this world. Doesn't matter. God is in charge. And he runs it the way he wants to. And thank the Lord, he's put his spirit in you. And all things work together for the good of those who love the Lord, who are called according to his purpose. So I don't care what happens. If you're called according to his purpose, and his purpose is for you to show the world who he is, it's going to work out for him and for you. But he's not going to show it to you if the odds are that you're not going to do it because you don't trust him. In Jesus' name, amen.